The sky turned dark before sunset. Wind howled across rooftops. The sea near Sorsogon churned like it had something to say. By late afternoon, Tropical Storm Ramil, known internationally as Fengshen, slammed into the coastal town of Gubat, bringing a mix of rage, chaos, and heartbreak across the Philippines. What began as a swirl over the Pacific quickly grew into a storm that refused to weaken. By 4:10 p.m., its center hovered over the waters of Gubat, packing winds of 65 kilometers per hour and gusts reaching 90. Pagasa warned that gale-force winds stretched nearly 400 kilometers from the center. It was a wide, crawling beast moving slowly westward, pushing waves up to 5 meters high. Warnings went up across the nation. Signal number 2 covered wide stretches of Luzon, Isabela, Aurora, Camarines Norte, Catanduanes, northern Camarines Sur, and parts of northern Samar. Farther inland, signal number 1 swept across much of northern and central Luzon. It meant danger was not just near the coast but creeping into the mountains and valleys. The rain began to fall heavier by the hour. In some areas, more than 200 millimeters poured in less than a day. The earth started to give way. Pagasa warned of flash floods and landslides in the mountains, especially in the soaked regions of the Bicol area, Quezon, and the Cordilleras. By then, people knew the storm wasn't passing quietly. Ramil moved slowly west-northwest, dragging its fury across Luzon. It brushed the Polito Islands, pounded Aurora, and drenched entire provinces under sheets of relentless rain. And still, it wasn't done. Pagasa said it would cross northern Luzon and exit into the West Philippine Sea by Monday, but not before leaving destruction behind. As winds tore through villages and power lines snapped, the Department of Health raised its code white alert. Every hospital, clinic, and emergency team went on standby. The government urged residents in flood-prone areas to evacuate, but not everyone could leave in time. In Quezon Province, tragedy struck before dawn. In the town of Pitogo, a large palm tree fell on a bamboo house. Inside was a family of 6. 5 of them, including 2 small children, didn't survive. Only a teenage boy lived, pulled from the wreckage hours later, the lone survivor in what was once a quiet home. The images shared by local officials told the story without words. The shattered house, the fallen tree, and rescuers digging through the wreckage under a gray sky. By Sunday, the storm's reach widened. Ramil hovered over Luzon, forcing more than a dozen flight cancellations. Roads flooded. Communication lines went down. The rain didn't stop. Pagasa's radar showed the storm moving toward the South China Sea, but its outer bands kept hammering Samar, Quezon, in the Bicol region. Around 47,000 people had fled their homes by then, crowding into government shelters. 5 dams in Luzon were forced to open their gates to release water, flooding low-lying towns but preventing the structures from breaking. In Samar and Panay, rising floodwater forced mass evacuations. Entire neighborhoods in Calbayog City vanished underwater. Residents could only watch as murky waves swallowed streets and fields. In Estancia, a man was crushed when his wooden house collapsed during the night. His neighbors found him injured but alive, pinned beneath debris as rescuers worked in knee-deep water. Down south, the rain triggered something even worse. In Bukidnon, Mindanao, a landslide swallowed part of a highway. A motorized tricycle carrying 2 people plunged off the edge. Both passengers went missing. The landslide blocked the entire route connecting Bukidnon and Davao, cutting off traffic and isolating nearby villages. Across the nation, the scenes were the same. Soaked roads, fallen trees, broken roofs, and people clutching whatever they could save. Pagasa warned that storm surges of up to 2 meters could hit Aurora, Quezon, and parts of the Bicol coast. For fishermen and mariners, the sea became a trap. The Weather Bureau pleaded for them to stay ashore, but some had already ventured out before the warnings came. By midday Sunday, Ramos Center had crossed Manila Bay and moved toward Olongapo City in Zambales. It carried the same force, 65 kilometers per hour sustained winds, 90 in gusts, but now its reach had grown wider. Gale-force winds extended over 430 kilometers, sweeping across central Luzon. Signal number 2 remained raised across Zambales, Bataan, and neighboring provinces. Residents were told to expect winds strong enough to uproot trees and damage light structures. Signal number 1 stayed in effect for areas farther inland. Cavite, Batangas, Marinduque, Pangasinan, and parts of Mindoro, all warned of possible storm surges and dangerous seas. Waves up to 4.5 meters crashed against the western coasts of Batangas and Zambales. Sea travel was suspended. Ferry terminals stood empty. Even as Ramil started to move away, the damage deepened. Floods reached parts of Metro Manila, where drainage systems overflowed after hours of rain. Commuters were stranded. Streets disappeared under brown water. Rescue teams used rubber boats to reach trapped families. The death toll stood at 5. 2 remained missing. Hundreds of thousands more faced sleepless nights in shelters, unsure if their homes would still stand when they returned. Oh my God! This one's so long! Oh! This is so long! How old? As Ramil drifted toward the West Philippine Sea, Pagasa warned that it could re-intensify once it hit open waters. The thought alone left many uneasy. The idea that the same storm could grow stronger again after leaving so much behind. The timing made the tragedy cut deeper. The Philippines had just endured a series of earthquakes that killed dozens. Communities were already reeling, trying to rebuild when the storm arrived. For many, it felt like the ground had barely stopped shaking before the sky turned against them. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. addressed the nation through social media, saying the country needed to strengthen its disaster preparedness because it remained vulnerable to calamities. His message echoed the fear and fatigue of millions who lived in constant threat of storms, floods, and quakes. That's all for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more clear and calm reports on extreme weather events. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Please note that some footage in this video is for illustrative purposes and may not depict the exact events described. Thank you for watching and stay safe.